Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Sideline Junkies, the Tuesday DC Sports Rundown. I am your man, the Midnight Rider. To, I guess, my real left on my screen, I don't know, I think he's probably on your right, is the big guy KG. To my left and right, or whatever it is, however it goes, it's my man Ross, also known as Thanos. If you don't know where the Thanos comes from, check out his goatee, baby. Looking like he about to snap the world, baby. What's going on, fellas?
How's it going?
Hey, we here, man. We in here. You'll hear periodically. I got a house full, so
It's all good, man. Hearing little kids, that's good.
yeah. I mean, I don't know where they come from. They just drop in from the ceiling. They just come by. Hey, I've been wanting to see you. And yeah, you heard I was cooking. That's why you came by. That's what that is. You heard that.
That's a compliment, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. Fellas, DC Sports Rundown. Only reason why we need this because we had some questions about responsibilities. We also had Take Your Pants Off Monday yesterday. Today is How Tuesday. So that needs to be addressed, but we need to get to this week 6 recap in the NFL that we did our 6 games. Do you have the list, Midnight Rider?
I knew that was coming.
And you don't have the list.
I got some of it.
All right, I got the whole thing. Hold
It's
on.
been battered and beaten, but I got a little bit of the list I had. So I think we had the Lions versus the Bucks.
Yep.
Of course, the Lions won that
Easy.
20-6. I think the only person that didn't miss the anything on this was X took the under. Everybody else took the over. I don't remember point spread, so that's the only thing I didn't keep track of.
I didn't keep that either.
So I'm not even gonna worry about that. Game 2. Any thoughts on that game?
For me, the Lions are for real. I said it in a pregame show. This is Wayne Font's era Lions, but they're going to be contenders all the time. And
that's the only place that this is connected to Wayne Fonts is because they'll be contenders the whole time. This is a whole different line experience.
This is a meme. Yep.
They're super explosive. The city believes in them, but the part that they have is you have Amon St. Brown, and you just got back Jameson Williams or Jameson Williams, however you want to say his name. He scored a touchdown early. He probably had himself as an anytime touchdown score. Bad joke, I'm sorry. But, I mean, when you come off a suspension for 6 games, you know how it is. What you think about that game, Ross?
I was surprised that the Bucks didn't play better. Detroit, they got some beast on defense also.
Mm-hmm.
The offense is going, and Goff proved that he can actually play quarterback. Because when he came to the Rams, everybody was just like, "Oh Lord, why would you trade Stafford for Goff?" Because Goff at that point hadn't played that well, and he's come in and he's established himself and he's gotten better every year, and he's getting everybody involved. Rookie tight end, his wide receivers, the backs. He's playing really well.
This is why their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, will be a head coaching candidate this offseason. And he's probably – I know he's number 1 on my list, my short list for coaches coming into DC. I think this wave of quarterback head coaches will be all offensive. I don't think we'll have a defensive coach. We can have that. Yeah, hey, that could be a discussion later.
Content.
Exactly. Because woo.
All right, next up on the list, we had the Seahawks and the Bengals. Looks like everybody went with the Hawks, which was everybody missed on that. But we did all hit on the under. It was a 17-13 ball game. 2 teams that I think people are surprised by how good the Bengals defense is. They're not flashy. They're just solid. It's like they're one of those defense that every man does his job and only his job, pun intended. And that's why they're successful. and I think they do enough exotic stuff to keep you confused. What about you guys?
I can agree with that. But see, here's the problem. What makes the Bengals good isn't their defense; it's their offense.
Yeah, but the offense hasn't really been putting points up. 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, the offense is sputtering like a 1981 Chevrolet Chevette with a bad distributor cap.
That's bad.
I think the kid found that funny.
Oh, she knows. Come here, Meatloaf.
I think she's overkilling it now. Grandpa's not that funny.
How did you get my ball?
All right, so the next game up.
Say hi.
Uh-oh. Hello.
Hi.
Come on, Meatloaf. No? Okay. Maybe.
Okay.
All right. There we go. Grandpa taking out by the beads. Somebody's got to correct me on the score because I know I don't have the score on the Cowboys and the Chargers.
Ooh.
Cowboys won. I think that was
17.
20-17. You and I both had the Cowboys. Looked like BJ had the Chargers. I don't know who X had. I didn't see his pick on that. Okay. We all took the over. We weren't even close. The under hit. I think last night was a display of two quarterbacks that have high expectations, but right now are executing at a very low level.
Yep.
And I think the other problem for the Chargers is if you can't run the ball or do anything with Eckler, they're messed up because they don't have the same passing game without is it Mike Williams, the big guy they drafted? So he's hurt for the season, and I think that's affecting their offense. And until they can get Quentin Johnson, the kid from TCU, up to speed, they're going to struggle.
Yeah, they had a stat that was the 13th time that Herbert's thrown an interception in the fourth quarter or something like that when his team was down or trying to come back. And Phillip Rivers had the same issue. Phillip Rivers could be all world, but he would throw that killing interception at the end of the game. I can't remember what it was, but it was 13 times that Herbert had thrown a pick at a certain point of time in the fourth quarter when the game was on the line in his career so far.
That's the Ross Autograph Sports stat of the day.
I'm bittersweet about it because he threw that pick, and that pick pushed me over in fantasy because I was playing a guy he had Justin Herbert as a starter. He was up by 1.5 points, and I was like, if he throws a touchdown, I'm finished. He threw that pick, and it was game over. And I seen the score go down. I was like, thank you. I won by a point. I was like, that's all I needed. That's all I needed. So you compared him to Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Fame quarterback, soon to be.
Right.
Him, Ben, Eli, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. They all had their screw-ups. They all had their hiccups, the yips in the fourth quarter. I don't think it's any different for Herbert. I think he gets more scrutiny because of how the Chargers lose games. I think
which is on their head coach. Their head coach. He's got to be gone. If they don't make the playoffs or they go an early out, he's got to be out in San Diego. But who knows?
All right. Number 4. We have the Saints versus the Texans. Texans win that ball game 20-13. The boss and myself were on the Texans. Looked like KG and X were on the Saints. Let's see. Looks like we both took the under, and maybe you guys took the over or something like that.
I think
because I got 2-0 for me and BJ, and you guys being 1-1. So maybe you guys took the under. We all took the under, and that's how we all hit that. So yeah. So in this ball game, I've been preaching the whole time. I just think it's something about this team, CJ Stroud, this offense, the way the defense plays. I think they're going to feast enough on the bad teams they play that they'll be around for some kind of playoff consideration. Now, they may get smoked in the playoffs, but I think for what they do and what they offer, they can win the 2 games they get against not the Jaguars, the Colts. The two they get against who's the other team in that division? Not the Jags. The Titans.
Titans.
They
They
can
can definitely beat the Titans. Yeah.
So that's 4 wins right there. You add in a couple of these where they beat somebody they play looks like they play the NFC South. So they can probably beat the Panthers. They can beat the Saints. They can beat the Bucks. You know what I'm saying? Now we're at 6 wins almost. Yep. So this team could accidentally fall into a playoff team. I wish I saw this potential in the preseason because I could have made me some money, but unfortunately I didn't. Anything else, Ross? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Stroud's played way better than anybody thought he was going to. He's come in. He's been quiet. He's come out and put in work every week.
I'm so confused because Tepper is a Pittsburgh guy or was a Pittsburgh guy. He was there for the Big Ben thing. You couldn't have sold me that they were going to take Bryce Young with his physique and everything. I just felt like from a type standpoint, and maybe because he wasn't the GM, so he let them kind of handle some of that. But I just thought from a type standpoint, CJ Stroud fit them way better than Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And Young's been hit or miss. He's had some good moments, but I don't know. I just definitely didn't see that being the quarterback that Carolina was going to take because of that Pittsburgh pass.
That's the same. Yeah, that I had the Texans winning. I think I said I typed in the quotes that that Texans were going to win. They have a really good team. They have a good foundation of a team, and the guys like to coach. They're well coached. You don't see them out of position. And Stroud is playing like he's a 2 or 3 year vet. I mean, you know, he has played really, really well. He's making good decisions. He threw his first pick this weekend, but everybody throws a pick, so it's just how you recover.
KG? Yeah.
I haven't been on the Stroud train, but I it's not that I wanted to go against, but I'm like, okay, he playing the Saints, Alvin Kamara, Derek Carr. Okay, the Saints got this. And that exchange between Kamara and Winston on the sideline, it's like, okay, James, what are you going off about? And they say he was going off about a pick. Like they say, when I throw a pick, I get pulled out the game. He threw a pick, but I'm like, okay. Obviously, Alvin ain't there for your BS, man. Let it go. I think Jameis is a talented quarterback, and I think you will see him before the end of the season. But this Saints team is a talented team. They got to win ball games like this. They have to win ball games like this. You know, the Saints are skilled enough to pull out those close wins, but the Texans are skilled enough to pull out close wins. Look what they did in Atlanta last week. They pulled out a close one. I didn't think they were going to win. Who knew?
No, they lost to the Falcons last week.
I thought they beat the Falcons.
Nah, they lost
21-19.
Yeah.
They did.
But they're outworking teams. They're outworking. They're hustling all the time. They're playing like their coach played.
Can you imagine that team in 3 years?
Yeah.
I just say next year.
Because you got to get. It takes a coach 3 years to get his guys in there.
No, it doesn't. Stop your Ron Rivera love thing. No, it's take us 3 years. We got to build it. We got to roster build.
5 years.
We got to deal with what's important, not what's interesting. Guys, do your job.
I want to know why Singletary's getting so many carries. Because Pierce is a beast. He needs to be fed the ball. And I can see maybe Singletary getting a few on third down or spelling Pierce, but Pierce needs the ball. They need to because I think he's getting too many carries. I might be wrong. I haven't watched the all 22 on any of the games or anything, but I just looking at the stats real quick, I just think that's too many carries for him.
That's something we're going to have to check into because I'm curious about that now because Pierce hasn't had the same season he's had in the past for sure. Next game, I guess this would be 3, 4, number 5. The The Indianapolis Colts versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Colts 20, Jags 37. Looks like KG and BJ went with the Colts. Yours truly went with the Jags. I don't see a marking here for X. So if you got what X did,
he had the Jags 24-21.
All right. I hit the over 24. So 24-21. There'll be no math involved. So he hit the over as well because the over was 43.5. You guys both missed that because y'all took the under. That's really the recap on that. Jags, Colts. I just think Minshew just made too many mistakes.
Hold on, before you go on, BJ just asked a brilliant question. He said,
what?
does the head coach in Houston, DeMeco Ryans, get pushed out for a bigger name?
This ain't 1985, brother.
No, I don't think so.
This is
The way
his
that team's
team.
playing. Mm-mm.
And the Texans aren't smart enough to try to do something like that. The Texans, they got him on the hook for 5 years for whatever. Go ahead. Time out.
The Texans had, what was the coach before Lovey?
Bill O'Brien. Was it Bill O'Brien?
No, it was after Bill O'Brien. They had a guy come in for 1 year, they fired him. They had Lovey come in for 1 year, fired him.
Oh, you talking about it's B. Mitch, old coach from Louisiana. He coached at the Ravens for all the years.
God, what is his name?
David Culley.
Yes,
David
that's
Culley.
his name.
Yep.
And the Texans aren't smart enough.
So let's break this down. First, they were dumb enough to get into the position where they let Bill O'Brien be the GM. Bill O'Brien trades off all your considerably talented parts, and he got nothing for it. Then you go into this David Culley thing where we know you're tanking. It's obvious you're tanking. You're not giving the man any talent, and you fire him after 1 year because he didn't get results. But how you getting results if you ain't giving him nothing to work with? Then you turn to Lovey, did the same thing.
Right.
So now you're paying whatever Culley's deal is. You're paying 4 years of Culley. We're now on 3 years of Culley left. If you're still paying Lovey, because if you gave Lovey a 5-year deal, you're paying 4 years of Lovey going forward. So you can't, just from a logistics standpoint, if you're firing Ryans, then you're going 4 more years of that. But you actually got the star of this coaching class.
Yeah.
So why would you move on from that?
You know what? They'll move on from that because it's Houston. They'll bring Jerry Glanville back.
Oh
Mhm.
Lord.
Jesus
And they'll start
Christ.
wearing black jerseys, and it'll be a resurgence. Who's the owner down there? McNair. It's the older McNair. He passed away, but I guess that's his daughter, wife. I don't really care for the general manager down in Houston, and that's why I think a lot of the stuff starts is him. What's his name? Caserio.
Right.
I don't really care for him. The way he handled the whole Deshaun Watson thing, because Deshaun Watson wanted out, I feel like he had a lot of hand in that. I feel like the McNairs had a lot of hand in that. A lot of that stuff coming out. That's why I didn't believe a lot of it, because it was ill-timed.
Right. Same with the D-Hop, with D-Hop and J.J. Watt leaving Houston.
Yep.
I mean, anybody that's been a name is out in Houston. So, but I think DeMeco Ryans is going to be there for a while, man. I think he's going to be there for a while. He's shown to be a good coach, a good in-game coach, making
He's a
changes.
star.
Yeah,
He's a star. You don't get rid of stars. You don't get rid of stars. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it at that.
right.
And here's the thing. DeMeco Ryans ain't even 40 yet.
Nope.
Jeez, wow, this cat's younger than, I mean, he's younger than the Midnight Rider. He's older than me, but jeez.
Hey
He's younger
man,
than me.
I'm just gonna let you know when Moses parted the sea, I had those little cones and I was doing like this, guiding everybody through.
All right, we were on Jags Colts.
Real simple. Minshew just struggled all day. I think he threw 3 interceptions. I still don't understand why they're not giving Jonathan Taylor a little bit more carries. I know Moss has been hot, but I mean, you can't roll with the Honda Civic when you got the BMW in the driveway. Like, let's not do that. Doesn't make sense to me. But
They signed him to a 1-year contract, right?
yeah, so he got they just reworked his deal. He got more guaranteed money, so it turned into 13 instead of whatchamacallit. And just FYI, the Phils and the Diamondbacks just started up.
Okay.
Yep, watching that. Yep.
I watched Houston, Texas Sunday night. And I watched that with the wife, and she was sitting there, and she sat there and she just got stuck. And I was like, "What are you looking at?" She's nothing, just watching the rotation. He can ready to strike him out. I'd be damn next pitch he didn't strike him out. She said he's swinging at everything. Can't swing at that. You gotta let it lay off. But then she'll say, "Oh, I ain't never played ball before." She knows entirely too much.
That's good. That's good.
I love it.
That's good.
Paul chimed in. He says, getting out of the Deshaun situation was like trying to pick up a turd by the clean end. Casario got the better end of the trade. He also says, if D'Amico isn't a fixture in Houston like Tomlin in Pittsburgh, they blew it. Yeah, I agree with that. Yep. But now here's my thing. The Deshaun thing, it's always, we talked about it. We always said allegedly, because it just seemed ill-timed. And then the dude that was the prosecutor that was doing it is the neighbor of the McNairs. Like, it's just too many hands in the pot, too many moving parts.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I got a problem with Deshaun Watson on a different level.
Okay.
He was out last week again, but now he was cleared to play. I'm not sure what he's dealing with.
So let me help you out in this, brother. So this is an AC joint sprain. The problem he's having is getting strength in the shoulder to make the throws. And the bad thing about when you got something with your AC joint is you can have strength going in certain directions, but you may not have the same strength when you're doing other motions. So you have, like, when I had something similar, I could push off, so I could bench with no problem. But if you ask me to take something and lift it to my side, it was a struggle because you're working different parts of your muscle. So with him, with the throwing piece, I know he said, because I listened to the Ken Carman show in the mornings in Cleveland, because I like listening to people in similar situations to the Commanders. I like to hear long-suffering fans cry on Mondays or exult on Mondays. And they were talking about it. So this is week 2 of it. And I think they got to let him rest as long as he can. You can still, with that defense playing the way they're playing, I think through 5 games, they're averaging like 200 yards per game that they're giving up. So they can keep you around in ball games. You don't have to force this issue right away.
Now, here's my thing. I'm not upset that he's resting. I'm upset that every week he's trying to go and he can't go. Like, bro, I'm pissed off because you know you can't go, but you trying to put and it seemed like Stefanski was kind of sort of forcing him for a little bit. But I'm pissed off that he keeps trying to go. Don't try to go. You're a quarterback. You need your shoulder strength. You need all of that. Take the time away to rest, relax, hit the ice tub, whatever you need to do. Hopefully it doesn't require surgery. Sometimes rest is all you need.
You need a good cortisone or 2. That'll do it for you. You get that cortisone and let that shoot through there. Oh, baby.
But see, cortisone over time, it weakens your immune system and it breaks you down. He can just take a Toradol shot before the game.
All right, we're in the same neighborhood.
Toradol, he gonna look like he was at Clemson again. Now he might have to step up at halftime.
We're in the same thing, but calm down. I know you're the show's physician, you know. I know you're the show's physician. Calm down on that a little bit. Let's see. Last game I had on the schedule, Commanders versus
It rolls right in.
Commanders versus the Falcons. Commanders 24, Falcons 16. I was wrong because I took the Falcons. BJ had the Falcons. You and the kid had the Commanders. Mm-hmm. Everybody took the under. The under was 42.5. So the under got hammered. And short results. So let's talk about this, but let's do this one differently. Let's get since we're kind of all invested in this. If you don't mind starting, Ross, let's kind of just get recap your thoughts, and then we'll go to KG, and then I'll finish it out.
I was glad to see him win, of course. Glad to see him win, but my thought is if they were actually playing a quarterback, what would have happened? I've watched some of the film. He had guys open, but he threw the wrong guys. I like the different little twists that they had with the extra pressure. We hadn't seen that earlier in the year. They weren't blitzing or anything along those lines. I thought the linebackers played well. Jamin Davis has actually developed into a decent linebacker. Um, I think for all the abuse that he got the first year, he's done really well in pass coverage this year. They've asked him because he was actually split out wide on Bijan on that play, and how do you have a guy win that if he'd have got past him? But they ran the play, and he got that little left arm around there, kind of slowed him down a little bit, jumped in front of him, and made the play. He made the play, so he's developing. Maybe a good pick. Still, he wasn't a first round guy, but he's playing well. I thought the secondary was okay. Could have been better. They gave up a lot to Drake London because Drake London just no shows. Kyle Pitts scoring a touchdown. I mean, that's almost like a unicorn. That dude has got all the hype and then hasn't really done anything. So, I'm glad they won, but I'm wondering what would have happened if they actually had a quarterback if they were playing against even Danny Dimes in the Giants, who we make look like a Hall of Famer every year, or against Dak Prescott. It may have been a different outcome.
Go ahead, KG.
I can honestly, unequivocally say this: Sam Howell is the best quarterback in NFC East. And I say that, or people are like, what? Yeah, I understand. Statistically, he is the best in the NFC East. He's top 5 in the NFC. Everybody's been saying it all over Twitter since Sunday. Washington got themselves a baller. Looking at this game, only thing that really, really pissed me off, and I said we got to run. Brian Robinson has to touch the ball at least 20 times. He had 10 carries for 31 yards and 2 catches for 25. He's not touching the ball enough. Our run game is non-existent. Every team has a trait that all through history, every coach, every scenario, it's all been based on something. San Francisco's always been about the run game. And it's been about a passing game, a short passing game. New England has been about passing. And Minnesota has been about running with a mix of pass. Here in DC, it's always been about power running. We did it with Clinton Portis, even though he wasn't cut out for it. We did it with Stephen Davis. Of course, you did it with Ernest Biner and John Riggins and everybody, Larry Brown. I can go on and on and on and on. We always have that one guy that can just grind out a game sometimes. Brian Robinson is that guy, but he has to touch the ball. He is our it guy. In the run game, he has to touch the ball more than anybody else all the time, but he has to be at the 15 to 20 carry mark. In the passing game, Scary Terry has to be targeted at least 10 times. At the least 10 times.
He had 11.
Here's the problem. Jahan Dotson is supposed to be the compliment. He dropped a wide open. He would have walked into the end zone. And I was like, he got it. He dropped it. And it's like sophomore jinx. Does he have a case of the yips? Because my man has dropped a lot of passes this season.
He's not involved as much in the offense as he was last year. It's like a running back. You need to get the ball. And I know it's a poor excuse, but maybe he's just not. He's focused. He's not. The ball's not coming to him as much. I don't know. I mean, it's I don't know. It sounds like an excuse, but that's the only thing I can think of because he's a hell of a player, and I don't think it's a sophomore jinx because he's still getting open, but he wasn't being seen. Like if you watch some of the earlier tape, he was getting open, but he wasn't getting the ball. So I don't think maybe mentally he's as involved in the game. and that's something you got to learn as a young kid or a young player, that you're not going to get the ball as in the pros.
I just hope he doesn't. Now, Randy Moss, all world talent, like all universe talent. Forget all world, all universe talent. But Randy used to take off a couple of plays. If it was run plays, he wouldn't kind of come off the line. You could tell by whatever Randy did, you could tell what it was going to be. I don't want Han to do that, because later in Randy's career, he stopped doing that, and you didn't know what was going on. So he had a resurgence. I don't want Jahan to do that if he knows I'm not getting the ball, so he doesn't put out.
Well, if that's the case, then he's hurting the offense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because this offense is predicated on certain routes clearing out space. And if you listen to Jay Gruden on Mondays, he's talked about the lack of space or the lack of separation that's being created by some of these guys. So that's also an issue. That's
Trey
gone.
Turner just homered.
That's gone.
Yeah. Trey Turner just homered.
Okay, come on. I gotta stay focused.
Defensively, not to see Forbes was disappointing.
Yeah,
because I think he should have played at least a couple of snaps to get his feet wet. He can't learn on the sidelines. He has to face live action, live bullets. He's never going to learn on the sidelines. If you simulate everything, he's never going to get over the hump. Number 2, defensively, Chase Young still leads the league in quarterback pressure. Well, he's top 5 in quarterback pressure, not leading the league. I'm sorry. And he missed the first week. Here's the problem. He's getting the Ryan Kerrigan treatment. He's coming off the edge quick. He's right there, and all of a sudden you see this right here, and his head goes straight back.
Yeah.
No holding calls. And I'm not going to sit here and bitch and complain about it, because I'm used to it now. They did it with Arakpo. They did it with Kerrigan. Trent Murphy got it sometimes. We always get it's holding on every play. It just depends on what the referee calls it or not. But when he jumps on guys like that and he gets around that corner, that's an obvious hold. He is faster than Kerrigan, faster than Murphy, faster than Arakpo. You got to call that.
Yeah.
He was very disruptive to say he only had, one tackle? He had an assist. He didn't even have a full tackle. He had an assist. And he was disruptive Sunday.
Yep.
I think the only disappointment I had with him on Sunday was there were 2 rushes. One, Bijan was able to get up under him. Like he beat his man, but like he was right there where Robinson was, and they kind of stood him up. And then another play, a tight end kind of stood him up. And for me, for him to be elite, those are the plays that you got to disengage with those guys and get that quarterback. Like he's that one step. And if you guys have all 22, you'll see it a couple times in the game, because I try to watch him a lot, but I don't say a lot because I don't have all 22. I don't know what the situation is, if he's the guy that's contained or whatever. But I see him sometimes, especially when there's a tight end on his side. He'll stand up, and then he kind of is hesitant because I don't know if he's like watching out for that ear hole shot or not.
Yep.
And then he goes. So I think that's what's hurting him from my perspective, is he's not getting that first step to go. He's not exploding at the quarterback. He's got a thought in that process, and I think that's what's keeping him that 1 second away. That he's waiting on that is the 1 second that's costing him, or that half a second that's costing him at the quarterback.
That's agreed. Yeah.
I see that. He has to take the Fred Dean approach. Randy Cross said it best. Fred Dean got traded to the San Francisco 49ers in the middle of the week. And he started against the Cowboys the following Sunday. And he was like, he didn't know none of our plays, but he didn't need to. It was Fred. There's the quarterback. Sick him. That was it.
Yep.
And first game, I think he had like 3 or 4 sacks. First game. Didn't know none of the plays, none of the schemes, none of that. He came in the middle of the week and just went after the quarterback. If they turn Chase loose like that on certain downs, or certain times in the game, just, hey, this play, just go after the quarterback. We know they got to pass. Pin your ears back, go get him. That's what we doing. I think he'll be a little bit more successful because he doesn't have to think.
But I think he likes that one move, and I'm not sure the technical name, but it looks like the DNs, they slap the hands down and then they try to run the circle or run the around the whatever it's called. I forgot what it's called. But it's more so where you drop the shoulder. Some people call it a ghost. But he goes around the edge, and that's when he starts getting pushed out of the way. Because once you run that edge, if you ain't there and that quarterback steps up, you in no man's land.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Dwight Freeney used to do a move like that. Dwight Freeney would do a move like that. But Chase, for as hard as I was on Chase, you can see Chase coming back. You can see some of the speed coming back. I saw 2 or 3 times on Sunday him take the tackle and push him into the backfield. Just bull rush. Now we want to have him have more moves, but you can see a little bit of what it was in his rookie year, kind of coming back. So I hope he gets all the way back and starts adding more to his repertoire of sack moves, of rush moves.
Speaking of which, anybody heard anything on Montez Sweat? I know they said he went down. I think it was a thumb.
Right.
Yeah.
So I haven't got anything tomorrow because tomorrow is medical day.
Okay.
Tomorrow is the first day to get back in. You got to remember, if Ron talks tomorrow, he's going to talk before we get the medical. So we'll get the medical afterwards. So probably like around 3-4 o'clock tomorrow, we'll probably have a better understanding where Montez is.
Because I think it's going to say something if he does not play, because he is a major we can talk about John Allen, Deron Payne, Chase Young. Montez Sweat is the dog on that defense.
Yeah.
He is consistent and he gets after it.
But I think you lose something athletically. But I think when you bring in Casey Toohill, especially, Toohill always shows. He always flashes, and it's always because he's assignment right. He's not more skilled than anybody on the team, but he always plays to the detail of his assignment. And
he does his job.
He does his job, yes. But the key is, if you notice it when he's on the field, or what they did Sunday was they didn't care about the boot. So if the quarterback was booting, they were meeting him at a certain point. And I saw that a couple times with Chase, and I saw that with Toohill, and they just ended up being there for the sack. Because when the quarterback came out to boot out, he ran right into the edge guy. And that's how we got those pressures. And Casey Toohill they ran into him for 2 sacks or 3 sacks. But he's always assignment right. And that's the part I like about him. So there'll be a drop-off talent-wise. But I think because of his sound nature, because I think he has 3 sacks on the season. So he's like tied for second.
Yeah.
So his sound nature of his work makes him a very valuable cog.
And we got speaking of valuable cog, Khaleke Hudson got some playing time. We finally seen him, and he showed up and showed out. I was glad to see that cat.
Yep.
Oh, he had a couple situations where he made some great plays. Especially that goal line situation. And if you haven't seen it, I'll try to post it. But Brian Baldinger actually calls him, gives him some praise in one of his breakdowns. I can't remember if it's in the one that I posted earlier today.
Yeah.
But if it's not in that, there's another one. Just let me know, and I'll post that second video.
Paul says, but when Freeney knew he was beat on the edge, he would spin back and catch the QB stepping up in the pocket.
Yep.
Yeah, that
100%.
Freeney spin move. And little off subject. Who had the better spin move? Was it Freeney or was it Bruce Smith?
For me, it's Freeney.
Yeah.
I've always been on the fence, so I don't have it.
So because I think
close,
Bruce had a good one, but Bruce had a lot of other stuff too. But like it was kind of like that was Freeney's go-to. But he still had enough other stuff that he would set you up, and you knew it was going to happen. You just didn't know when it was going to happen.
And Paul said Freeney. I've always been on the fence because I'm a big Bruce Smith guy. So I've always been on the fence. And I remember hearing Jeff Hostetler talk about Bruce Smith in Super Bowl 25. And he stumbled over Otis Anderson. And he said, as soon as I caught my balance, this big old mitt just grabbed my arm and was like, come here. And it was Bruce Smith. He said, but he was so quick off the edge, I thought he was blocked. But he spun back to the inside and grabbed and got the safety. I can't. You can't go wrong. It's no wrong answer in it. So let's just put it that way, and I'll leave it there.
Jack Del Rio gets a little bit of credit. Not a fan of his, but they put in the 5-man line, and they did stuff to stop Atlanta's running game. They focused on that, and they were making Ritter stop him. I mean, and he couldn't do it, and they knew that. So that's one thing he's done this year. So we'll give him that and pat him on the back for that. I also wanted to ask you guys about the offense. Like the last 3 series that they had the ball, when it was a turnover, and he came ready, they came out and they threw the ball instead of running it with Brian Robinson. And it was incomplete. Stop the clock. I didn't like the last 2 series before the final interception. They gave Atlanta a chance to go down and tie. I didn't like the play calling on that. I wanted to get your guys and see what you thought about that.
So I remember the last sequence. The second drive, there was a 3rd and 9, 2:13 left, and I felt like that 2nd and 9. That 3rd and 9 with 2:13 left was no man's land. If you run it, you're only running off 13 seconds.
Right.
If they don't take the timeout, if they do take the timeout, then you're running off 5 seconds. So I don't know if the risk reward was worth it in that scenario. I was actually hoping that they would try to hit a slant or something and maybe get some run at the catch in that scenario. We got to remember that second half, I think the most they had the ball, they had maybe a 6-play drive for about 30 or 40 yards, and that was it. They didn't get much production. And when KG was talking about Dotson, I think we had 19 completions. So you lose some of that in the midst of what's going on. You don't have those opportunities for those guys because you're not converting. You didn't convert a 3rd down. I think they were 2 for 10 on 3rd downs.
Yeah.
So, and then if we think about yard standpoint, you had a drive where you started at the 20, which was the Kendall Fuller interception return. Right. You had a drive where you started inside the 15 off the Crowder punt return. So you didn't really have an opportunity to drive the ball. So you didn't have the situation where you had these long drives, which is why Sam only ended up with 155 yards. You didn't have these long drives that were coming down the field because you were put in good position by your defense. And I think the other time they scored was off a missed field goal. So your longest drive offensively for scoring was probably the 55 or 60-yard drive that you got off the missed field goal. Everything else was boom, boom. So, not the missed field goal, but the missed 4th and 1. So, yeah.
But I'd have to go back and look. They started a series. It was like the 3rd series before the end of the game, before Jamin Davis's interception. But he started off with a long pass down the sideline. I would have done something to keep the clock running because they would have had to burn their timeouts at that point. I'd have to see. It wasn't the final series, but it just seems like you should have run the ball, at least started off with a run or a screen pass or something along those lines, as opposed to throwing it long down the sideline. And I understand you're trying to catch them, makes the game over, but
no. So I think you're talking about the drive before the final drive, because the final drive started with the screen that went nowhere, the run play that went nowhere, and then the 3rd and 9. That's how
I'd have to go back and look.
I think it's the one right. Yeah.
It may be, but it started with a long pass down the left sideline. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just run the ball? And I agree with KG. You got to run the ball a little bit more. Brian Robinson needs to get his hand, even if it's a screen pass or a shovel pass. We haven't seen any of the shovel passes or anything like that at all. So I think eventually you will see it later in the season because each week they keep adding a few little twists here and there. Just like when Antonio Gibson scored on that little play action pass down by the goal line, that was something new. So each week I think you'll see, as the offense progresses, you'll see more stuff. But I'll have to look at that. You may be right, Ben. Absolutely.
But let's not forget the last part of this is we're talking about a new offense, and you're not running. No matter what you did in the preseason prep wise, you're not running the whole spectrum of the offense right now.
No.
Sometimes what we're forgetting with Sam, and why Sam ends up in some predicaments where, he's holding the ball a little too long. I think he's thinking through the offensive progressions.
Yeah.
And I might be presumptuous in that, but that's how I feel. When I look at it,
I think you're right on with that.
I see a guy that's trying to see what he like he sees the play on the card, but he's not seeing it visually, or it's not opening up visually like it's supposed to. And that's where we get into the part where lack of separation. A couple times I looked at Logan, and Logan was dragging that leg a couple times in Sunday's game. So areas for concern. And I think as we get more and more comfortable, like this offense post, I say week 10 or 11, we'll actually get us a better picture of what this offense really is. I think right now we're still in with this offense right now.
Right. It's still growing. The offense is still growing. And the quarterback has outplayed what we thought he was going to do. So it's a work in progress.
I agree with you when you say that, Ross, because even though it doesn't look pretty on the stat line to some people, but 14 of 23, 151 and 3 touchdowns, you can't ask for a better day than that. He pretty much helped account for all of the scoring except for 3 points.
Yep.
And something that Midnight Rider said, moving the ball and you don't have really, really long drives. I don't think it should have been one drive where we didn't come up with points. I think the takeaway that I had from this game, we should have scored more than 24. We should have scored at least 37, 38 points here. And I'm being greedy, but even though we did score after the crowd of punt return, yes, sir.
No, I'm waiting for you to finish your point. But I want you to come back to me after you do that.
Okay. Even though we did score after the crowd of punt return, I feel that it was still some miscues where we should at second half all the way. I was like, what are we doing offensively in the second half? What happened to the stuff we were running in the first half? Like I'm lost there. And it just seemed like the offense is just like, okay, just go out there, do a 3 and out, burn some clock, and then come on back. It was no purpose with it, if that makes sense.
There wasn't anything setting up anything. It wasn't. You weren't setting up to go downfield. You weren't running. I mean, yeah, I see that. It just seemed like it was a bunch of plays thrown together on most of the series.
But that's kind of what happens. Remember, we're having a conversation about a quarterback that got sacked 5 times on Sunday. I think 2 in the first half and 3 were in the second half. I might have that mixed up, but when you're dealing from behind the sticks, or if you gain 4 in second and then you lose 6, you gain 4 in first, lose 6 on second, you're behind the sticks in these long situations. And I think this team found themselves in some 3rd and longs in that second half that they just aren't ready to get. And if you're in 3rd and long, that's a low percentage situation anyway. So we got to be mindful of that. Also, I think some of it was offensive coordinator, but I think some of it was execution. And I think because we didn't execute in certain situations, the ramifications from that was just us being in poor positions when it came to 3rd down and being able to convert in these situations.
Agreed.
Something Ross said, and then we can go back to Midnight Rider. But
oh no, we don't have to now because
you got it.
Stuff, yeah. I've parsed my pieces in.
Ross is talking about that play on the goal line to Gibson, and what's crazy, I've ran that same play on Madden for years, and it's like you fake it and then you just drop it to the fullback or the running back out the backfield, and they walk right in most of the time. To see that on Sunday, I was like, they swore up and down, they bit on the run, and it just forgot that he leaped right out, and it was just beautiful. The execution, the protection, the call, every layer of that play was just absolutely beautiful. And I think if you had to take a snapshot, that's probably one of the plays that you put on the board and say, this is how this offense can be. This is how successful they can be. I loved it. I love the way it worked.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed from week 1 in the preseason, Hal's play fakes have gotten better. as you go. If they ran the ball a little bit more, I think you'd see them taking shots more downfield. His play fakes hiding the ball in the way his mannerisms when he's trying to do a play fake have improved from week one.
I think I totally just agree with everything you guys are saying. The only part I have issue, I like the fact that they need to run the ball. I think they need to run it, but I've seen some issues where, especially when you try to run some inside stuff, maybe it's called duo, maybe it's ISO or whatever. We're not getting any push. We're not getting any movement.
Right.
It literally looks like Robinson's running into the back of 5 white jerseys, and then he has to bounce it out to get around the corner. So I don't know if they need to do something different from a spacing standpoint. If it's a lack of assignment thing for the line where we're not being able to push up onto the second level to create those creases and cracks, that's probably an EB thing, something that in the next couple of weeks, if you can't fix it, something you do self-scouting when you get after Thanksgiving or when you get the bye. But that's the part that I struggle watching them, and I still don't understand why we haven't brought in Alex Amra and let us have a fullback and lead some of this stuff, because maybe that's the piece that's missing. And with the fullback, you can always go into some kind of a max protect when you're trying to take those shots. So that's all I see.
Paul says, contain Bijan and let Ritter make the mistake. And that's basically what the defense did. The boss BJ says, best spin move, Freeney.
Right.
He goes with Freeney. So we started this topic, I believe, Thursday night, and we were talking about responsibilities and Commanders' responsibilities. And we were talking game day prep and pre-gaming and all of that, and whose responsibility it was.
I forgot about this.
Yeah. So, I mean, we said we wanted to put a pin in it. We were going to talk about it on Tuesday. It's Tuesday. The pin's out. Let's talk about it. Because I'm on one side. I think the Midnight Riders in the middle, and I think Ross is on the other side. Because we talk about preparation, and the boss BJ always says that the Commanders are a ill-prepared team to start games sometimes. But they've gotten better. This season, we've jumped out the leads early. But whose responsibility is it to get you ready on game day?
Go ahead, Ross. I saw you starting the thought. Go ahead.
Yeah. The last 4 years, it's been the same thing. We've played down to our competition. Teams that we're supposed to beat, we don't. It basically, the coaches, the players, these guys are professionals. They shouldn't have to have somebody get them ready, but the coaching staff as a whole needs to get their individual groups ready. But the head coach needs to, if you come out, there's no way you should come out and play the way you did against Chicago. How can you not be prepared for a team that hadn't won in over a year? The players ultimately are responsible for their own actions. They have to get themselves ready, but you also have to be put in the right positions to do that. And Ron wears many hats. He's worrying about this and that, and what we're serving at the snack bar, and he's taking care of everything. But it's still his job to get his team ready to play, because ultimately it's his ass on the line. If they don't perform, it comes back on him, whether it's Del Rio or Eric or any of them not doing their job. He's got to hold them accountable because it shows on him. And just like I made the comment on the post where he was clapping and doing all this week, we hadn't seen any of that the first 5 weeks. Now, maybe the camera didn't catch it, but we didn't really see any of that. So I'm wondering if somebody said something to him, or he heard somebody say, well, he's just standing there on the sidelines like he's giving up. I wonder if he heard the Pat McAfee show where they said it looks like Ron had just given up. But I think the players and the coaches are both accountable for getting ready for a game.
I think I'm old school. I think the coaches get you prepared during the week, but on game day, it's all about the players.
Yep.
If players, if you have to be, oh man, I don't know why, but I hear Chuck Knowles speaking to me right now, and if I have to motivate you on game day, I don't need
Right.
you here.
Right.
And that's something that Chuck Knowles said, and I always tell people, I say, I grew up listening to the greats and just sitting there listening to great coaches talk. I've listened to the Bill Walshes. I've listened to the Parcells. Yes, sir.
See, now you're gonna appreciate this one because there's a wise man that once said, "I'd rather calm down a fool than wake up a corpse."
I know that one.
I know you know that one.
Oh, I know that one.
Exactly. That's a great John Thompson. That's the only reason I interrupted you is because I had to get that one because that's the one I get right. I always give him credit for that one.
Yeah.
There's some of his other ones that I give credit to other people, but I know that's a John Thompsonism.
Oh yeah.
Carry on. I'm sorry.
That's another coach that I've sat down. I listened to him for what? 10 years? I listened to his show for 10 years.
Yeah.
I think it was 10 years. I think he went
Right,
off.
longer than that.
What
Yeah.
he went off 2013?
Was
No,
it
it
that?
wasn't quite 10 years. I started listening to him about 05. Driving my mom to work and picking my mom up because he came on at 4:00. He came on at 3 at that time. So, and that was when B Mitch got into it with Clinton Portis around that time. And then B Mitch wound up getting released for a little while. But I've listened to these great coaches, and they always, I listen to great players. They've always said, give us the game plan, but on Sunday, stay home. And I don't. When it comes to Ron, I think Ron's a great motivator. I don't think he's a teacher. I think he's a motivator. And I heard Dwight White say that about Chuck Noll. He said Chuck Noll wasn't a teacher. He was a motivator. He knew how to get the best out of you, but he didn't teach you. He just knew how to get what you already had. And I think that's Ron. I think Ron's in that vein. Not quite as great as Noll, of course, because Noll won 4 Super Bowls in the 70s, and he was still in the hunt up until he left in 92. But Ron is a great motivator. And all you got to do is just listen. I don't know. Maybe I'm different because when I hear Ron's speech, I'm already getting the ankles taped, mouthpiece already ready. I can't find my helmet because I done had so many concussions, but get my helmet and I'm ready to roll. Like, I'll run through a brick wall for Ron. That video of running through the door.
Never. In your best interest, I'm gonna tell you right now. If you ever come across, I think it's the 2018 Carolina Panthers in-season video with Amazon, don't watch that. Because I don't want you outside pulling a hamstring, trying to run and do wind sprints to get in shape, ready for Ron. That 2018, I watched that video. I watched that season like 3 or 4 times before he like officially took over as our head coach. And you're right, Ron's a motivator. But I think he's also a teacher. I think part of this team's problem and the part that I struggle with is each year we come into the season with a rookie player, and every year that rookie has this gigantic learning curve. And I'm trying to figure out why either he and Jack are doing this with Jamin Davis. Why are we doing this with Emmanuel Forbes? Why are we struggling to get Quan Martin on the field? Like, why aren't we simplifying this and then adding everything in as we go along? Let's get them to master the little things. Let's be the master of something than the master of nothing. It's easy to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, but you'd rather be the jack of some trades. The master of some trades and the jack of none, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Like, I'd rather you have some things, like we got to crawl before we walk is the better way I say it. And then I felt like this week, this team decided that they didn't want to be a slap. They wanted to be a fist. Because there's more damage done with a fist than it is with a slap. So let's get those 5 fingers united instead of operating separately.
I give you that. And no, you don't have to worry about me pulling a hamstring, getting ready for Ron, because I know how to warm up properly. I know how to start walking and then progress to a jog, then progress to a run, then progress to a sprint.
42.
That's
that
fine.
Achilles ain't the same.
That's right. You got to stretch. Speaking of which, what
42.
Go get mom.
Don't have him go get your highlight tape. We ain't got time for a highlight tape.
I want to say it was Monday. It was my birthday, actually.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir. It was a week from yesterday. Me and the wife, I had left work. I think I did a 4-hour job, and I came in. And she said, hey, you want to go walking? I said, sure. So we're walking around the parking lot, big parking lot. We're walking around. And I was like, see, you got to get your back pedal on. And I showed her. And I told her straight up, I was like, when you get your back pedal on, I said, my hips will tell a story. If my hips are out, as a receiver, you know you can turn me around and get past. If my hips are in, you know you can turn me around. He don't believe me. Tell him. The back pedal was there. At 42, the back pedal was there.
Okay, Shakira.
It was there.
The back pedal was there.
All right, Shakira. Your hips don't lie. I got you.
No. But I had to explain to her, like I explained to everybody else, I used to have trouble with that. That back pedal and turning around and straightening up. But the great Darryl Green gave me a pep talk in the arena at ESPN Zone down at 11th and E in DC when he was down there with his dad back in 2000. He was like, no, you got to work on that. You can't do what I do is what he told me. He said, you can't ride side saddle like me. I've been doing it for 20 years. You can't do that. You got to learn how to get yourself together and get your feet together. He showed me a few things to do. I've been straight ever since. See, I can still do it. Not at the same level, but I can still do it.
Okay.
So, do we have the list for the night?
Do we have the list for the night?
Because I'm asking because I forgot it's Tuesday, and you know
we have the list for the night.
I mean, but
I am a responsible podcast journalist. I'll have my list. My list is ready. Cue the music. That's not the music.
Well, I don't have the music.
I definitely don't have
Echo.
That was the wrong one altogether. Oh Lord.
Oh, there we go. You just made the list. There we go. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. This week, the college quarterback top 5. There's some things changed around. I had to remove some furniture because I had to get back to my true self. I had to get back to what's real because I seen some things on Sunday and Saturday, and I was like, am I being true to who the Midnight Rider is? The man that they call BC. The man that they call Ben while we talks hockey. Am I being true to him? And I said, no. I looked at the man and said, you know what? Do your job. So I'm going to do my job this week. At number 5 on the list, you know him from all season long. It's the kid from Texas, Quinn Ewers. He's back on the list. Quinn Ewers, you just made the list. Yes, sir. At number 4, it's the problem child. It's the guy that don't know how to slide. He doesn't know what's best for his health. But somehow, he puts up big numbers every week. Jayden Daniels, sir, you just made the list. At number 3, out of Colorado. I don't understand what the defense did to him last week. They let him down big time. 29-0 at halftime. How do you lose this ball game, Prime? But I guess when your DB falls and gives up 97 yards, when your other corner gives up a catch behind his head, that's how it falls. But Shedeur Sanders, at number 3, you have made the list, my friend. At number 2, it was a struggle, but we came back to reality. We watched the tape. I looked back. I saw what Notre Dame did to Caleb Williams. I see a problem. I see a hole in his thing. I see a problem in what is the mystique of Caleb Williams. So at number 2, Caleb Williams, sir, you have made the list. And at number 1, the man giving off the big Penix energy, the man they call from University of Washington. The big man. Yes, indeed. It's Michael Penix Jr. He's also left-handed, folks. But Michael Penix Jr., you have made the list, sir. And just to recap the list, because we always do the list from 1 to 5. At number 1, Michael Penix Jr. from the University of Washington. At number 2, Caleb Williams from USC. At number 3, Shedeur Sanders, University of Colorado. Number 4, Jayden Daniels, LSU. And at number 5, my guy, Quinn Ewers from the University of Texas. And ladies and gentlemen, this is another rousing edition of You Just Made the List.
That may have been the best one yet.
I agree.
Schwarber just hit a homer.
Say that again.
I'm missing all of them.
Schwarber just homered for Philly.
Jeez.
Yo, there are parts of this parlay that I have a parlay in, but there are two pieces that I didn't take. I didn't take Trey Turner getting a hit, and I resisted the Kyle Schwarber getting a hit or a home run. Because I went with Harper and I went with Castellanos. Because Castellanos is on some crazy pace where he's like 5 home runs in like the last 3 ball games. And Harper's like 3 of his last 3 or something crazy like that. So with those numbers, I can't go against the fellas.
Right. Well, you still got plenty of time. Plenty of time.
And then I also have I got a hockey gold parlay in. I went with a couple guys from Tampa. Let's not talk about that because I'm gonna sound like a degenerate.
All right.
KG, let's wrap this up. What you got? Final thoughts?
I wanted to say this. 2 things.
Hold on. I got a question because I've been thinking about it all day. I know I put another question talking about elite quarterbacks versus elite defenses. I don't want to talk about that. Since you guys are fellow Commander fans, because the other reason I didn't want to get into that because I didn't want KG to break down the 1966 Kansas City linebacker core. But to stay on course, Sam Howell through week 6. Your thoughts at the beginning of the season compared to your thoughts right now. Is he a capable quarterback? Is he missing something? How do you categorize this kid 6 weeks into the season? Anybody can go first. Don't jump all at one time.
Ross, I give it to you, Ross.
Okay. He's performed better than I thought he would. I think we had talked before the season started that we thought, we know he's going to have turnovers. He's held on to the ball more than I thought. But I think he's trying to make a play. I think he's going through his progressions. He's better than expected for me. I figured this was going to be a really tough year because he's essentially a rookie quarterback. But I think he's taken to Eric Bieniemy's offense, and I think Eric likes him. I think personally Eric likes him and sees talent in him, and can run his offense through Hal. If he can stay healthy, I hate to say it, may actually have a quarterback. Because in 2012, I thought we had a quarterback, and I was all in on 2012. But I think this is a little bit different. It's better than I expected.
And it wouldn't be the 66 Chiefs I would talk about. It'd be the 69 Chiefs with Minnesota's own Bobby Bell, Buck
Buchanan.
Buck Buchanan was on there. Willie Lanier out of Morgan State and Jim Lynch out of Notre Dame.
Johnny Robinson was safety.
Yeah, KG. Yeah, you ain't going out, Ross. Yeah, KG. Yeah, Ross. Get him,
this is why I say certain things, and Ross comes right through, and it's like, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. Hey. See it. It's the snap. Yeah, buddy.
But to answer your question, yes, I see a different Sam Howell. I see a different Sam Howell every game. You see that he's learning. And I don't know if he's doing it, but it looks like he's standing in that film room too.
Yeah.
It looks like he's watching film, but he doesn't hear the footsteps. And that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. Because when you hear the footsteps, you ducking and every time, but he stands in the pocket and takes it right on the chin every time. Yeah. But he is a different quarterback. He's a different breed. And I'm loving the evolvement of Sam Howell. So, yes, different quarterback, yes.
I think Emmett Thomas was on that team, too, for Kansas City. Yep.
Tom Flores as well. He's a backup quarterback.
He was.
Go ahead. Let me know when you guys are finished. I mean,
Otis Taylor, biggest, strongest, fastest receiver in the AFL.
Was Elmo Wright on the other side? Was he there then?
yeah, I just know our listeners are loving this 1969. That
was I had to look that one up. That was Gloucester Richardson. That's what that was.
Okay.
We're getting too far in the bag, fellas.
All right.
Come back out of the wormhole.
Ed Podolak, right?
So I've
Will
always,
Smith.
y'all know me. I'm an arm talent guy. Sam's arm talent has always impressed me back from Carolina, why I didn't understand why he fell in that draft that year that he came out. We talked about him looking at, the rush, not having his top 3 guys when he was a senior, losing all that talent and coming back. And I laugh because I remember everybody talked before his first road game against Denver, and they talked about him having to play a road game for the first time in the pros. And I still remember because it was vivid because I watched opening day North Carolina versus Virginia Tech. And I watched that stadium rock at Lane Stadium. And I watched Sam and them be on the field as Virginia Tech took the field. And I knew when I looked in his eyes, he was ready to go. But I looked in everybody else in that team eyes, I was like, ooh, you out here by yourself, dog. And it showed that rest of that night. But overall, I think the kid has the arm talent. I think he has the ability to be special. My only problem for him is, will his body last through all this beating up, pounding the sacks that he's taking to actually come to fruition as a quality quarterback and be a guy that can last as QB1 for this team for years to come. But I always felt like this was our year of discovery for Sam Howell. And so far, I think we found something that we can work with and move on with the next couple of years.
For the first time in I don't know how long. Well, I'm not even going to say that because we thought we had a quarterback in RG3. We thought we had a quarterback in Kirk. But since Kirk is left out of town.
Whoa. Let's not bury the lead.
Quarterback position has been in flux, but it's like it's not anymore. It seems like we got a quarterback, y'all. He is our sunshine. He had to replace Rev. He is our sunshine.
And that makes sense because he can't pitch it 3 yards, but he can throw it a country mile.
Yep.
I got it. Anything else you got? Because
I had something. I don't even remember what it was.
Texas Rangers. I don't know. I've never seen the run that the Rangers are on. They're trying to do a Moses Malone version of like 4-4, the baseball version of 4-4-4.
Yep.
They haven't lost yet, and I don't know if they're going to lose to Houston. I think they won the first 2 already. There's 2 more in Houston. That if they take those, oh my God, they're going to be on a historical run. Their only problem might be that they're going to finish this up too soon and not give the Phillies and the Diamondbacks enough time to catch up with them. Because I think the Diamondbacks are going to fight, and I think they may not win tonight, but I can see the Diamondbacks winning Game 3 in Arizona to try to make it a series.
Yep. Greatest Moses Malone line ever was, when I go to the rack, I'll be Greyhound. Moses Malone.
Who was it that said when they saw their itinerary when they
Marvin Barnes thought he was in a time machine.
Here we go.
Marvin Barnes.
Now, since Ross is on here, and I'll leave it with this. Can you imagine how much more dominant lefties run at Maryland would have been if Moses would have went to College Park?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. He would have won a national championship. Maybe.
Biggest what if. Lefty always had all his All-Americans on the wall. And it was always an open space. And I always said that open space should have been Moses.
Yep. Well, that I think someone posted it. Might have been Ben posted it. The duo that never was, Reggie Lewis and Len Bias.
That was me.
Yeah.
Because I don't post no Boston stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a Boston fan, but I'm a Len Bias fan.
I
Just,
understand.
I will always be a Len Bias fan, but just I thought about that for a minute. I'm thinking and reading Larry Bird's comments and what he said, I was just like, wow, you just never know how much it would have changed the course of everything.
And
I
Ross
always
tell KG all the time. Lakers in 6.
Lakers wouldn't no because the Lakers.
Lakers in 6. Why are you wasting my time? Lakers in 6.
I'm not wasting your time because in
If
okay,
this was a Smith, we all be high. Lakers in 6.
87. Bias would have gave you 20 points. That's all they needed was another 20-point score on that team in 87. Y'all would have lost in 87.
Okay, sure.
They get Lewis. You're
Lakers
not beating them with all three. You're not beating them.
Lakers in 6.
Then
We would have adjusted. You're acting like the Lakers would have stood pat. We would have adjusted because we had the greatest mind in basketball. We had Pat Riley. We're not going to sit there and let you have Len Bias and Reggie Lewis and we stand pat.
No.
What kind of thing you think this is? We're not sticking with the rotation.
Okay,
I want to make a move.
Outside of that sphere.
It's not outside that sphere.
Listen.
We have Pat Riley.
Listen.
Lakers in 6. You're wasting my time. Lakers
Outside
in
that
6.
sphere, you would have never had the bad boy Pistons. They would have never rose.
I can't say that. I can't say that because the Pistons, they were a good enough team. Now maybe they don't get 2. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they don't make it one of those years, but you got like, come on, man. We gotta be respectful of the past. We talk about hear me out. We talk about the Young Bucks respecting the past. We gotta respect because the Pistons, let's think about what Isaiah said. He went through Larry, Magic, and Michael. Nobody else did that.
No. But here's the thing. He went through Larry, who they wanted to detach his Achilles to take the bone spurs out. His feet were bad. So was McHale's. Okay? You got the young nucleus and Bias and Lewis. You got Baltimore and Landover together cohesively.
I gotta do this because we got because that's we're giving out. No. What you're doing right now is giving away
content.
April, May, June content. You ain't gonna want to talk about it because you're gonna be too salty. Because I'm right. No, dude, we're doing this is not in the midst of all the sports going on show. This is a show you do in June 15th, right after the NBA Finals, or July 17th. You're not doing. We don't do this show right now.
I'm about to put. You know what? I do you one better. I'm gonna put it in my calendar.
Right.
And we're going to talk about this come June.
We should have a show called the What Ifs. Because there's just bring your what ifs to the table. Write it down because we got 42. You got a 42-year-old brain. I got a 48-year-old brain. I don't know how old Ross is.
58. I'm 58.
We ain't got brains that's gonna remember all this.
Oh yeah.
We need to have like a top five what if show.
Okay.
But we gotta get a panel. It can't just be the three of us. It has to be like as many people we can get on the StreamYard because we're gonna need the time.
Yeah.
And we do it that way.
Okay.
Basketball wise, because this was my other one before y'all went off on this crazy ass Len Bias tangent and Reggie Lewis tangent. Basketball's coming up. If you guys got a player or a team that you're looking forward to seeing this year, it could be anybody. I don't care. It could be a favorite, anything. Just real quick, because we got basketball coming up real soon. And if y'all want, I can start, unless you want to go.
I'm looking forward to this Wizards team. Outside of my Bulls, I'm looking forward to this Wizards team as a whole. Because, like I said, I want to see if Bradley Beal was the proverbial stone around the neck holding the team hostage, or, was he holding the team together? Now, if they go out and they win 55 games this year.
You've seen their roster, right?
Yeah.
Dude, if they win 55 ball games, they should put Wes Unseld Jr.'s name, like he should be in the Ring of Fame just off that team winning 55 ball games.
I'm just hoping he makes it the year.
It shouldn't be 55 losses. That's what you should be worried about.
I always hold the Wizards high. Even though that's not my team, I want to see them do well, but I'm like, you have all this talent. You got a lot of young talent. You got Poole. You got
Kuzma.
Koulibaly.
Yeah.
You know, you got Avdia coming back. So you got guys. Yeah, I mean, you know.
Well, I think you got guys. I think that's the problem. But I like your thought process because I think it's going to be exciting for Washington. And guys, we got to probably, that might be one of the things that we do as a group because tickets going to be cheap. You know what I'm saying? You can get you a nice ticket to see these guys play as we get into December and January. You can go down and watch them for about $20 a person and sit in good seats, not sit in nosebleeds.
Right.
Yeah, I think you know what, we talk about a lot of things to do. I think that's one of the things we need to get done.
Yeah.
Ross, basketball team player.
Well, the Wizards, but also the Knicks. You and I have talked about this. My cousin was a Nets fan growing up when we were little kids. I've always followed the Knicks. Always followed the Knicks. And I just would like to see them do something. I mean, I haven't gone into basketball mode. I haven't gone through and checked their roster, seen any of their off-season moves or anything like that. I don't think they really did that much. I would just like to see, same with the Commanders, just consistency. And quit it being a drama show like when, ex-players getting taken out of the arena and just stupid stuff. I just New York it is a fantastic basketball city. And when back in the days with Patrick Ewing and Mace and those guys, it was fantastic. But it's now it's almost a laughing stock. So I'd like to see them come back to be a little bit more relevant and play a lot better.
I would say the Lakers, but I'm not going to do that to you guys. I want to see Chet. I want to see the kid at OKC. I want to see what OKC can be with the developed Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You get, I think it's Chet Holmgren's the kid's name. You get him on the floor with a regular basis. I just want to see what they can be because they could be as high as like Sacramento last year, where they ended up being a 3 seed, just because it all comes together. They could be as low as a 9-10 playing in the play-in game. But I think this team has so much potential because they've been put together the right way. And this is one of the reasons why when I look at this team, I have hope. In the words of Jesse Jackson, I'm up with hope, down with dope. You knew I was going there, KG. I know. I saw it on your face. But I had hope that because I watched this get put together, and I feel like they can do this here in Washington. And Washington is the second team that I want to see because I want to see Koulibaly. I think the kid's going to be a dynamic player. And because he doesn't have the responsibility to score, and he can just be a defender, I think he'll have a better rookie season than we expect because he'll get – the only problem I worry about for him is being when you're playing with Poole and Kuzma, I think you might get shots out of necessity instead of opportunity. And what that means is when that shot clock is down to 4 or 5 and they can't get their move off, they kick the ball to you, and now you got to take a shot out of distress. So that's the shot out of necessity instead of out of opportunity. And I'm good.
Also interested in the Spurs. I want to see what they do with the number 1 pick. I want to see how he plays because he apparently he's. I saw a couple of highlights. He's been playing pretty well. So interested to see how it turns out. Back to the days of Duncan and Robinson when they had those guys.
Ross, we're not allowed to use curse words on the show.
I'm sorry.
The first one is Celtics. The second one is Spurs.
I'm glad you said that, Rose, because if this kid plays very, very well, I guess I got to have me deep fried crow because I said he's going to be a bust because he was getting dogged overseas. I mean, they were killing him under the basket, but he's playing grown man ball now. So
the wrong highlights. But I'm going to tell you this much. Portland's going to be exciting. With Scoot, the kid from Kentucky that didn't play, but I think it's the Sharp is his last name. I don't know his first name. Anthony Simmons. I think Portland's going to be a very interesting ball club because with DeAndre Ayton in the middle. Maybe tomorrow we do a basketball preview. I don't know what schedules are, or maybe we do it Friday. Like we do it because we gotta do something.
Yeah, we do.
So
So
maybe we do it Friday.
Okay.
That way we get some time to do some research or whatever. But yeah, I think we need to do some kind of just, even if it's 30 minutes, we talk a little hoops for a little bit. I make sure I throw that in my calendar. But yeah, but I really want to see what Portland's going to be, because I think Portland can make some noise. They won't win a whole bunch of ball games, but they're gonna let you know they in the building.
I also want to see how Dame's going to mesh with Giannis
That's
in Milwaukee. I want to see how that. I'm a big Damian Lillard fan. I would stay up and watch him when I had to get up 4 o'clock in the morning, and there's nobody else I would stay up and watch them West Coast games for. So,
all right, fellas. So let's figure out a date to come back and do this again, and we'll put it on the page. And then, of course, we got Thursday show. So
yeah, I mean, if we don't do Thursday, we still got Friday. I mean, if we do Friday, we can do hoops the whole time.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
okay.
Yeah. So we can do that, because matter of fact, I got the new Sports Illustrated today. It's got the hoops preview. So yeah. All right. So for Ross, the Midnight Ride, I'm the big guy KG. We don't do no overtime.
Guys.
Thank you, Ross.
Friday night at 8, it will be so great.
All right.
Great.
We are out of here.
Peace.